Okay, today we're going to be answering a viewer's question. Basically, a viewer pointed this website out to me, MD5 hashcrack.appspot.com, and basically it's a site that if you have MD5 hash, you can take it. So let's say we have this hash here. These are examples down here, popular ones, and we can post it in, paste it in here, and say crack, and it'll tell us that this is the hash, it's been cracked, and this is the plain text. If we take the plain text, put it in here, we can also generate, so we can go the other way around. So the viewer wanted to know if they can do this from the command line. I didn't even look. There might even be a tool in the repositories that does something like this. But since he gave me the website, I decided to go ahead and just use Wget to basically grab that information, so we can, you can do a loop, a while loop, and read through a file and post a bunch of stuff and crack the hashes or generate hashes, whatever you need to do. So first things first, we need to know how this site gets information. Is it posted? Is it a get form? Now we can look at the source code here. I'm just going to highlight this little section here and say view source code and look at the section of this. And that's one way of doing it. It does seem to use some JavaScript just by quickly looking at it. So there's another way that might be a little quicker. A lot of times you can just look at the form, the HTML code, and look at the form of what it's submitting. But if they're using some sort of JavaScript, you can use a tool like Firebug, which I've mentioned many times. It's a plugin for Firefox. You can get it at the Firefox site. What we're going to do is we're going to click on that. We're going to click on net. By default, this is probably will say disabled, so go ahead and enable it. I'm going to clear this out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to post something in here. I'll just type in the word Linux, and we'll say crack. Okay, so it sends some information right here. You can see right away we know that it's done a form post because it says post right there, and it's posting it to this address right here, which is the site /crack, because we've cracked it. So now we can expand this and read through some of this, but what we're interested in is in the post here, and you can see that it sent two variables: the query, which is what we've put in, and the submit, whether in this case it's crack with a capital C. So I'm assuming that generate would go the other way and say generate, but we'll look into that in a minute. So now that we have that information, we can just use a simple tool, Wget, which is installed on most distros of Linux by default, and other operating systems, it's easily installed. So what we're going to use here is we're going to say Wget, I'm going to say -Q, which puts it in the quiet mode so we don't get all that extra information that you might need for troubleshooting. And as we went over, it is a post form, not a get form. So we're going to say --post -data. And then inside these parentheses, we're going to give it the information, the two variables that we need to send to it. So we're going to say one was query, so we're going to say query equals, and then we'll put it in our hash key here. So I've got a hash key here already that I'll just copy and paste right there. And then we'll say end, so the end symbol, because we got a new variable here. We're going to say submit equals capital crack. So we are saying we're sending these two variables to the site, and the query is going to be this, and the submit variable equals crack. And now we need to tell it where to send that to. So the site, as we saw in our Firefox Firebug right here, if we hover over this, it tells you right there that it's MD5 hashcrack.appspot.com /crack. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that location so I don't have to type it all out. And I'll come back in here and I'll just Control-Shift-V to paste that, or right-click and click paste. Okay, now if there were any special characters in this URL, you'd want to put in quotations, so it's a good idea to put it in quotations anyway, just to make things a little bit simpler so you can avoid errors in the future, just getting into that habit. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do -O, capital O. That means we're going to redirect, we're going to put the output. Normally you put a file name for this. I'm going to do space dash. Now this should just output the HTML of the page. So if I hit enter at this point, we get the whole HTML output. So it's a lot more than what we need. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to look at the page again and close Firebug for right now. I'm going to, once again, just paste in that hash that I've got. Boom, I'm going to say crack. And you can see right here that on the line, we've got the code, we've got cracked, and we got Linux. Let's just highlight that right there because that's the information we need. Right click, I'm going to say view source selection. And right here, we can see what that contains, and it's 3 lines. So it's 3 lines, and the second one says cracked. And what we're looking for is this line that says Linux. So what we're going to do is we're going to grep through this. We're going to look for a line that contains the word cracked, and we're going to look at the line after it as well. And that's very simple to do. We've gone over in the past. So we're running the same command again, but we're going to pipe it into grep. So we're taking all that HTML code and we're going to put it into grep, which allows us to search for a particular line. I'm going to say, here we'll go parentheses, we'll say cracked, and if we look at the code again, you'll see that it's inside a table. So if we do that, that helps eliminate any other lines that might say cracked, because it might say it a few times on the page. So we have that, but we don't want just that line, we want the line after it as well. So we're going to say dash capital A space 1 before that. So we're saying grep for this line, but also show us the one line after that. If we hit enter at this point, you can see we get 2 lines of output. These 2 lines right here. Once again, all we care about is this little line right here that says Linux. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pipe it. And there's different ways to do this. I'm going to say tail. Now if I was better versed with things like awk or sed, I could probably do this with less piping, but this way works as well. And I'm going to say tail, which will read the last 10 lines of the file by default. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say dash n1. So we're just going to read the last line. So doing tail would show both these lines, but saying I'm saying tail 1, it's only going to show this bottom line. Let's go ahead and enter and have a look at that. So there we go. We've got the one line of output that we're looking for, but still extra data. We don't care about this here, and we don't care about this here. So all we have to do is cut away at that. So run the same command, pipe it now into cut, dash D for delimiter, backslash greater than, because we want to cut it at this point right here, and we want everything after that. So dash F2 for field 2, because we've got this here. Everything before that is field 1. Everything from here to here would be field 2. So if we hit enter now, you can see we now have the output of Linux. And we saw this little tailing here, so we'll run the same command again, but now pipe it into cut dash D for delimiter, and we're cutting with a less than symbol now, and this time we want field 1, so dash F1, because we want everything before this symbol. I might be going a little fast, but this is stuff that we've gone over in hundreds of my videos, so and I'm limited to 15 minutes here. So we're going to hit enter at this point, and voila, we have that our hash here equals Linux. Let's make it a little bit easier to use, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to right here, and we're going to erase out that hash. And we're going to say $x. And so that's going to be a variable. Let's create that variable. We'll say x equals, and then in parentheses or hash, I'll just copy and paste it here to save some time. Semicolon. That makes it easier so that if you're going to go and do some hex stuff, you're going to want to use a variable in a script anyway. So right here, I'm just putting that in there. And also, I like to clear the screen before doing stuff like this. So we're going to clear the screen, set a variable that equals this hash, and then we're going to use our wget and tail, grep, and cut commands to find out what that hash equals. Clearly right there, it's Linux. So that is going one way. That's giving us the hash mark there, our hash, and converting it to plain text. Let's go the other way. So real quick, just to review, we'll go back here. I'm going to take a plain text, we'll say Linux once again, and I'm going to open up Firebug again. Once again, go to net, all, and I'm going to hit generate. And right here you can see that it posted information. This time, instead of to crack, it's going to post it to generate. And if we click on that and go to post, you can see that it just has a variable of plain Linux. So running the same command but just changing a few things. Once again, I'm going to copy this location here because we're going to need that. I'm going to go here, and really it's almost the same. I could just change the end, but since I copied it, I'll paste that in there. And the generate obviously doesn't care about the submit equals crack, and that sounds funny. Anyway, instead of query, we said that it said plain. And so now if we take our variable here and change it to Linux and hit enter, but you see we're searching through for cracked. So basically we're doing the same thing again, the same type of thought going through here. At this point it doesn't have any line for where it says cracked, so what we could do is search for our hex key, and once again, I'm sorry, I said hex key, our hash. If I view the source here, oh look, that makes it easy, it's all on one line in this case. So what we'll do is, and this is another reason that using variables is nice, is instead of grepping for cracked, we can grep for our variable, and we don't have to do the A1 because it's all on one line. So $X, and right now we'll forget about the rest of this, and I'm just showing you my train of thought here. Would have thought that would have worked. I'm obviously doing something wrong. We posted plain equals Linux. Here it would equal Linux. We said that it was post generate. Well, let's not grep anything and just look at the output. What? That doesn't make any sense. Clear. Or wget quiet. Oh. I guess that's all you need. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult than that. Obviously, it's just outputting the hash right there without having to grep through anything. So going the reverse way is even easier. All we have to do is say wget and post that information to there. So let's clear the screen. Oh, clear the screen. And right here you can see we're wget quiet post, posting the plain text information to this address automatically, just gives you the hash. I am going to also put in here, just to make it easier to read, if I say echo, probably just nothing, I should be able to, yeah, so that puts us on the new line, just makes it a little bit easier to read. So I hope you found this useful. I'll put both these one-liners in the first link in the description. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Maybe you found it useful, maybe you learned some things about wget or grep or one of the other commands we use. It's all stuff I've gone over in many, many tutorials. So if I went a little fast for you, watch a lot of my other tutorials and you'll probably catch on. So I thank you for watching, and please visit filmsbykris.com. It's Chris with a K. I hope that you have a great day.